ban it out. So what games do they really want to pull the tricks out for today, or go solid just wheelhouse strats the whole way through?
And throughout the competitive League of Legends history between COG and Dignitas, I remember Dignitas bringing out a lot of their strategies against COG. It's kind of a testing point for Dignitas, saying, you know, this is the team they prepare for. It's always a little bit special when Dignitas plays COG because, I mean, Ascar likes to say it's just for the trash talk, but there's also a lot of emotion there.
Well, you know you're going to get a long game out of it, so you can definitely stretch things out, try a few different things, and know you're going to go to the late game still. Lee Sin and Sona banned out, so a few targets there. Crumb's not getting a favorite in the jungle, and Shen and Twisted Fate is the globals getting taken off already.
Yeah, and if we remember the last victory Dignitas had against COG, Dignitas was out roaming them and just outpacing them, forcing fights before COG was ready for that. And that's exactly what Dignitas's bans were for there. Getting rid of the Shen and the Twisted Fate will give Dignitas potentially more of a roaming advantage. I think Nocturne's actually going to be a fairly contested pick here. That's what Big Fat LP's been maining, and that's also what Crumbs uses frequently to create fights for Dignitas.
It's been a big one, especially in the late game. The denial of vision in the fights has been used in such a great way that it really turns the tide of what you think is going to be just an uh-oh fight we've seen so many times happen.
And it's the strangest thing, because Nocturne, when you think about him, does not scale well into the late game, because just his itemization steroids and the way he needs to just basically do a bunch of damage and tank never works if you're getting a bunch of farm on Nocturne. Which is why Big Fat LP's Nocturne has been so successful, because he plays him as a full tank early game gank threat, but then just late game vision denial. That's really all he tries to accomplish, and it works great for CLG.
I'd like to see that, you know, it happens with other champions too. Lee Sin becoming a utility one that doesn't scale that well into the late game, but still used in the same fashion. Here's another one, Zac, being played a lot more in the top lane yesterday, also locked in for Counter Logic Gaming.
This is something that we haven't seen much of from COG. It could very well be Nien or Big Fat on that champion, because as far as I'm concerned, the top lane Zac has actually been more successful lately than the jungle Zac. Earlier on in the North American LCS season, we pretty much saw Meteos and a couple others just jungling it all the time. But if we look over into the European LCS, especially Wicked, you see a lot of Zac in the top lane. Recently we saw Psycho Sid doing it as well. I'd expect COG to maybe run that in the top lane, depending on what Dignitas does. They have that flex position now.
I like that pick. It goes back to teams being able to throw out the ambiguous, where are we going with this kind of strategy in the beginning, when lately it's just been, we'll take what you play. That's our strategy for now.
We see so much of that now, and I really wonder if this Vayne's going to get locked in, because we saw Cutie Pie always talking about how much he loved Vayne, but he says he doesn't have the mechanics for it, and of course Dignitas does that. They always wait to do those picks and swap around as many champions as possible.
Well, he's got a safe Lulu. Maybe he'll still go for it. Maybe he's like, all right, we'll see what their picks are. Cutie might be able to get it.
Yeah, and that actually, those two picks tell us that Dignitas is going to have to fit in a decent amount of damage into their next two spots. Nunu, even though he can dominate with counter jungling early, is very much a support tank coming out of the jungle, does not create any damage threat. So oftentimes that'll just buff up I'm a Cutie Pie's AD carry, but it also means that Dignitas wants to play this smartly. They're going to have to make sure to fit in damage a little bit more in the top and mid lane.
Scarra still has quite a choice of what he wants to go on. Himself hasn't been playing Diana too much lately. We've heard of the all-in, kind of not really allowing Shifter to play it either. So maybe that's why they're staying off. But CLG's picks to hover over, going green. It ain't easy being green, but they still want to try it. And Chouster may be going for that Thresh.
It's always an adventure when we have Chouster on Thresh, because he can make a lot of good plays. You can talk to every COG fan, and they'll probably give you about a 50-50 answer, whether Chouster has learned Thresh or whether they say, I have no idea why he is still playing Thresh, because he has had some really poor games on Thresh, but he respects the champion and he's put so much time into learning it, instead of falling back on his Janna and his Lulu play that he learned from the Season 2 support time Chouster spent. It is another pick for COG, saying we're going back to it.
They have one hell of an initiation as well with the team they've shown, and making it all the way through is Scarra's Kassadin once again, and that's a pretty big counter to Ori. You just rift out of that command shockwave whenever you want.
At least once he gets to level 6.
Once he gets to level 6.
It becomes very difficult for Link to deal with him then, because he can maneuver around the giant Orianna ball, which normally you can use as that huge zone control in the lane. Scarra did not get out of the laning phase well yesterday when he played Kassadin. I heard somewhere that that is not even Kassadin. So I want to finish the point because it was a cute comment I saw on Reddit. They said he was going for the CS anti-record because he had 25 minion kill, 100 minion kills at 25 minutes, which Scarra was like the record holder in North America previously. He's had 300 at 25 minutes before. He did not have a good game there.
And this gets pretty cool if you guys remember back to MLG. Scar bringing out the 8 double kills with his Master Yi, and which is just one of those, as I said, champions that makes you want to pull your hair out in mid.
And this is round 3 for Scar on Master Yi. One great game, one not abysmal game.
Right.
That's probably a little too harsh. Just not very good game. And now it's game on again. The struggle when you run Master Yi is getting enough upfront damage so that when he enters the fight, he can get the kills, because AP never works as first one in. He can't do enough damage to get any of the resets and take on the rest of the team. And since they've picked generally low damage elsewhere and not even a Graves like you normally see for an APE team, they have to find a bunch of damage here in the top lane for Kiwi Kid's last pick.
I was going to say Renekton. I hate you, Cutie. No. If they go Renekton, it's something he plays. They also need a little bit of meat. Crumbs is he always goes tanky. He likes his Locket from even the summer, or Spring Split rather, but we'll see what they go with.
Yeah, the sky's the limit right here for Kiwi Kid, actually. Just because he has been playing a lot of different champions while trying to get his game back. Kiwi Kid has been slumping hard this entire split.
There's no doubt about it.
He's got to find his niche right now, and it could start in this game.
His last one is onto him. It doesn't look like there's too much communication really going between the team. It is Patoy's pick. You see him on your screen right here.
They've known what they're picking for about 20 seconds
right
now.
Oh, do it. Yes, we've seen this be switched back and forth as well. I heard that. I don't know if you guys heard it over our mic, but Scara just laughed. You saw Patoy laughing. These guys know they're kind of going high risk, high reward with this.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously Reset Central right here for Dignitas, but they don't necessarily have the upfront damage. So this means that they have to focus single targets and then go for a reset off that. They can't hope for the pentakill reset. They need to go one after another after another. And that means if COG fights together and stays smart with their shields, they're going to have a really good time. If Link gets farmed on Orianna, he's going to be able to prevent a majority of the Dignitas resets, and I think CLG would have a big edge in team fights.
And we've actually, going back to CLG, we see Nien picking up that Jarvan again back in the top lane. If he goes for his Hydra build, we haven't seen this in a little bit.
He had a really successful Jarvan game earlier in the season, and that's just the lane domination he's going to try to put over top of Kiwi Kid. They swapped it back at the last second because they're fooling with us.
Yeah, they did. They put Nien right onto that Zac. So we did say it had better results towards that top lane as well. You get Zac a little bit more farmed. It's kind of like having old Olaf. It's like, why put him in the jungle? You get him tons of cash in the top lane and get him rolling. But same situation there. Also, we've heard teams like, even Meteos say, who played Zac 5 times out of 5 in the first week. It's kind of a soft initiation before 6, and you get a lot more tricky initiation from Jarvan and that lockdown from the flag toss.
Yeah, they're going to be able to wombo combo those initiations, and maybe we'll see the Ballista combo with Orianna, Zac jumping in and comboing. That's not seen as frequently in competitive play anymore because people are so used to that threat. As soon as they see a Zac going in, specifically with an Orianna on the game, they will split up into multiple spots, but we'll have to see if COG can pull it off in this one.
We are about to jump into this match. One thing I always like is the Lulu to Zac pick, always polymorphing him before he can jump. It's one of my favorite counters. We'll see if Patoy can get himself into the game. He's been known to really have that positioning with his Lulu and the safety of Cutie Pie there. So on to the match. We are into Week 7, Day 2, as we finalize this one here in the North American LCS for the summer split. Counterlogic Gaming to take on Dignitas. Some pretty awesome compositions being brought out here, and we'll see what Dig can do versus CLG.
And right now we have the rare red elixir start coming from Kiwi Kid, so he's really going to try to get an edge on Zac early on in this lane. But before the laning phase goes on, we got these level 1 shenanigans.
Well, the new is going to want to be able to counter as much as possible, so Crumbs doing his own thing just for now, getting those wards down, and a very nice early ward placed down here by Dignitas. What leaves Patoy in a pretty scary spot.
Patoy is going to have to make a long walk home, but I think he's going to be all right just because he knows exactly where COG is. And this is actually an incredibly sneaky ward that Patoy's been able to place here. As long as he doesn't get spotted coming back out of the jungle, I think he's going to execute himself, actually.
Here's Scar laughing in the background. Oh, no. Oh, no.
He's free.
Okay, I thought Jarvan was going to go topside, but he does get out. All right, so Scar...
He got scared. He got scared. He thought... If he was going to run back out through the way COG was going, he would have ran into COG and died. So that was his safe escape. He got the ward, and unless COG plans an invade right now where they could go after a low-health Patoy, they're going to be all right with it. And he's going to make it back to base, maybe be about 5 seconds late for the wave, but at least he got Scar to laugh, right?
CLG, okay, that's an Explorer ward. I was going to say they went crazy on wards. We have an Explorer ward in the lane to figure out where the lanes are moving in the bottom right-hand corner. They put down 4 or 5 wards to start that off to the 2-3 of Dig.
And double lift on Vayne is usually a pretty fearsome thing to go against. They don't necessarily want to lane that 2v2. Even though double lift often goes into a 2v2 lane on Vayne, it's not the ideal matchup, at least early, until he gets a Vamp Scepter and a few items.
So we do see those lanes swap. This may mean the turret's going down fast as well. During the Cloud9 game yesterday, we actually saw the junglers act a little different. They went to the 2v2s instead of the 3v1 lanes.
We've definitely seen a slight trend away from the quick 3v1 turret push, at least yesterday. Maybe a little bit more farming. The teams are adapting a little bit, as well as soon the turrets will have armor on the next patch that we're going to be playing with early on in the game. So it's going to be an adjustment they have to make anyway, and they're going to it a bit early.
So what's the point of a Yi in mid here? We see him just alpha striking the lanes down. Is he keeping her at the turret, or does he want to roam right away?
Right now, Scar is just obnoxious in the lane. There's not much counterplay to that. Yi just alpha striking a creep, getting the bounce to Link, and then moving on. Scar is okay just farming up and trying to get as much harass on Link as possible with alpha strikes. And then whatever harass he takes, he's just going to meditate out of it. So it's a pressure-free laning phase for Skara. What he has to be worried about is the gank, since he does shove the lane when trying to put in his harass.
Both lanes getting the same treatment right now. Kiwi Kid is backing off quite far. Same with Nian in the top lane, and there we go, chat. It looks like it's going to be back to the 3v1s.
So the slight trend away from it, remember how we did that whole thing? Don't listen to what we say. We're just fooling with you guys. This is very quick turrets for both teams. Not even contesting. Nian and Kiwi Kid are okay saying, we're just going to trade this. What is going to have the impact, obviously, here is how these pushes continue. Is COG going to go for turret number 2, and is COG going to try to take a dragon afterwards? Because oftentimes the team on the blue side, after taking the quick turret trade, goes for a dragon as well. This time COG's opted to push the turret.
There's the grab onto Crumbs.
Oh, look out!
The condemned into the wall! They are definitely going to be able to... No, they don't! The exhaust just on the outside. He does get the tumble, the hit, and I believe he grabs double buffs.
That was all chain out off of Chouster's death sentence. He picked the Thresh and made the play early on in the game. Having double buffs on Big Fat LP and double lift makes this roam down from Patoy even more difficult. That is a fantastic start and the best member of COG to get the kill.
You got to give credit to Chouster there. That's really the first time we've been down there for the hook, but the first one he throws gets the kill on the team instead of taking his team out.
Yeah, and we know how much threat you lose if you miss a Thresh hook. The enemy team can just pounce right on you, so you got to be careful with the way you throw these things. And he made it count.
Crumbs debuffed at the moment. Looks like they are getting their own pink wards down. They realize this jungle is going to be pressured. And I have to remember that CLG says, you know, a lot of their early game warding, a lot of their early game strats comes from Big Fat watching demos by himself over and over again.
He tracks the enemy junglers very well, and that's why he spends most of his time roaming around hoping to run into the other jungler. He doesn't necessarily want to farm that much. He wants to fight and gank and get his lanes farmed, and then give his jungle to his lanes later on in the game.
Kind of like how you used to play. What can I do to cause chaos, but not really kill anybody?
Yeah, I farmed way too much. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I stole way more farm than I needed to.
5.5 onto this one. It is 1,000 gold lead. A very nice job with the turret down and first blood in favor of CLG. They look to give Scar some pressure in mid. He's quite low on mana. He has the ignite down. His flash is up here as he gets towards the turret. Looks like he's going to try and get the meta thing. Oh, he flashes the toss. He baited that out. But that Orianna passive picking up the kill on the auto attack.
And that's exactly the danger that Scar runs early on with that APE, since he's pushing the lane with his alpha strikes. Soon as he went to harass because he had ran out of wards, Link and Big Fat LP were able to turn that around. They waited just long enough for Scar to feel safe in that one. And then as cute as Scar was with his meditate to bait out the flag toss combo, he didn't clear enough distance to escape Link's auto attacks.
Very nice job by Link as well, controlling the CS in lane. So that's even getting Skara into his, I love CS, I need to catch up kind of factor. So his aggression kind of got him a bit in the butt there real quick. 2-0 now as the kills are coming in quick for CLG. One to the bottom, one to the top. They continue on.
And we're looking at AmaCutiePie right now. He rushed the tier of the Goddess, which I would not recommend on Ezreal, only because it takes away your early game power substantially. If he looks at double lift right now, double lift will destroy him in a fight. So AmaCutiePie needs to spend the next 10 or so minutes farming before he can become impactful. He did the tier early because he wants to get it stacking, but you sacrifice a lot of early game presence.
We see the early boots here coming in from Skara, working pretty much solely on that Alpha Strike, getting in and out of the lane, like you said, tagging Link when he can. So we'll see if he still becomes a focus, as he's kind of just thrown his money into trying to keep that lane going for himself. So the roam may not be there for him. CLG still putting pressure in this bottom lane, and I don't think they're going to get much help besides Crumbs here.
And Link is a rock in that mid lane. That's why CLG doesn't have to worry about him necessarily right now. What they are doing, though, is they're getting back a little bit to this protect the double lift thing, specifically because they know they're against a full assassination composition. Protecting double lift on a Vayne is going to be CLG's road to victory here.
Playing it calm, cool, and collected. Counterlogic Gaming working off a few of Scarva's cooldowns, knowing they can approach the turret and do some damage and walk out nonchalantly. Crumbs here to add a little bit of pressure, but he's level 4. There's a level 7 in front of him as well, so they got to be careful with these ultis.
Yeah. I don't know where Crumbs has been most of this game, if we're thinking about it. He died early getting those double buffs gone, and he hasn't been able to bounce back. If you're picking the Nunu and not getting early jungle control, in fact even getting invaded right now, you need to do better than that. Big Fat OP is abusing Crumbs in the jungle right now, and Dignitas needs to make a play to get it back.
Looks like they will be doing that. The pink ward they placed earlier was taken out and replaced by CLG. A good grab play, causing the arcane shift coming from Cutie Pie, so they are out of this fight for now. But you look at that top lane, Nian's about to hit 7, Kiwi just hit 5. There's been a discrepancy here.
CLG is winning on all fronts right now. Kiwi Kid still hasn't even used his red elixir, but he's down 20 minion kills to Nian, and as you say, 2 full levels now, but about a level and a half worth of experience. Not to mention the turrets have been traded, but you look at the lane positioning of CLG, and they're all pushed up in the lane, making Dignitas react to them, and CLG is substantially out farming.
That loss of double buff in the beginning had to have hurt Crumbs. You counter jungle with Nunu. His jungle has been the only jungle he's looking at right now.
Yeah, and it's not even his entire jungle, because Big Fat OP's Jarvan has just stolen his blue buff, giving CLG double blue buff essentially when you look at now Jarvan and Orianna wearing it.
And he's going to like that. He is kind of somebody who would like to have that blue buff.
He would love a blue buff. It helps him so much. Alpha Strike is damn expensive. At rank 4, it's 90 mana. It goes up in mana every time you rank it as well, so Scar's mana costs aren't getting any easier.
Trying to go in. You can see there isn't much pressure back from Link here. Actually, he throws that in. Link leveling up the W on this one for the damage. He has 2 in the ball, leaving the shield for last, so he looks to burst Scar out of lane there and make him use his meditate.
And I think it's just the extra little bit of speed that Link wants, at least early on in the game, because he knows the only way he's killing Skara, I think, is if he gets the gank from Big Fat OP. I'm throwing this out. Anything can happen here in this CLG versus Dignitas game.
This Dragon as well, 9.5 minutes in. Chowster looks like he can fend off a few, but double up to him. Okay, force the flash down by Tribush, as you see Chowster walking onto your screen now. Those two getting a little bit scary in the bottom, but the hard hats are on. They keep safe, and they have a great dominance over this game right now.
And that's a natural progression when you sit with your lanes pushed up the entire time. It leaves the door open for just going off for Dragon. Scar was off farming Wraiths because he's trying to catch up and farm with Link. There's no way he's making it down to that Dragon fight.
And CLG adapting to pretty much everything after they complete 1. Now moving for the mid turret after Dragon. They've just pushed bottom. They're losing top, but they're allowing Nian to still control that, almost getting mid down. So they're just prepping the next step every time they move.
And right now there's no rush for CLG. They rushed things a little bit against Curse yesterday because CLG had a very strong laning phase, and then when they went for Dragon, it was a contestable Dragon. When they went to invade blue buff, it was contested, and they kept losing team fights. This time CLG doesn't need to force any of these things because they have the Vayne, Orianna, Zac. CLG will have this late game team fight, so they're going to take the opportunities that are given to them, but I don't think they're going to force it this time.
Skara pushed out of the lane. Those opportunities going to be quite hard to force for Dignitas at least. Sunfire Cape almost finished for Nian. And at 66 to 45 in the top lane, the red elixir was never used by Kiwi Kid. It still can be, and it's still going to come in handy. But that was the kill he wanted to try and get. Could be used right here. Throws in. Red elixir still on, and Dignitas looking for a bite there.
Well, the Thresh Lantern was there for the friendship save, and Dignitas just spent all that time roaming down. Since Kiwi Kid had pushed the top lane back and Yen was freezing, the smart play for Dignitas was to try to make a play happen in mid lane. But CLG knew it was coming, and they're able to back away.
Pushing the pressure down onto the double if they get a nice Flash Frost. Forcing the flash as well.
So that was a scary bit of damage right there onto Doublelift. I don't think he expected to have that much immediate threat just with the Crumbs roam coming down, but he got a little bit surprised knowing that the Muramana had been completed by Amacutie and he was actually putting out a substantial amount of damage.
I was wondering, I was like, was that Crumbs? Is he running AP? But yeah, Muramana definitely taking a nice chunk from Doublelift, enough for the flash at least, and he is going himself for the Blade of the Rune King, something that makes Vayne pretty big force to be reckoned with when she grabs it.
I meant to say Manamune, not Muramana. It's got to transform first.
But
another reason there is Doublelift is actually sitting on 2,000 gold right now. He is very much in Farm Fest, getting a little greedy, and he should probably be careful where he's going, because he can actually finish his Blade of the Ruined King when he wants to and get that big Vayne power spike everyone loves.
Scarra trying to roam here. Link, the lane has not reset yet, but I think being seen by wards getting pinged out, Scarra returns to mid, so the bottom lane does not find that pressure. And we'll see if Patoy can activate something as he returns to the lane with those two in the bottom.
Yeah, Patoy may be able to pull off a 3v2 thing. The thing here is Dignitas has to recognize that Doublelift is way weaker than he will be when he comes back. So they want to get the kills while he's still weak. But once again, it seems like COG's kind of on top of it here. Knew there's 3, maybe 4 coming down, and are actually giving up a turret because they know they're getting one as well in the top lane.
Trying to make these moves. Scarra going down through the river we just saw, kind of looped around and tried to come back down the inside of CLG's jungle. Didn't work for him too well. Good wards all across the map are keeping these teams safe, and what we see slowing things down, which is I kind of think why we're seeing all these turrets.
And it's strange because when Dignitas beats COG, they play accelerated games. When COG beats Dig, they play slower games. And right now, Dignitas is trying to accelerate this one as they're pushing hard onto COG, knowing Doublelift hasn't shopped in a while.
That's the next grab on to Crumbs. Looks like they may be able to get that third True Bolt down. The exhaust is onto Crumbs once again. They get everybody in. The Wild Growth is down. He will be ending after this one, and another one going to Doublelift.
Wow, 3,000 gold now without shopping, and he was able to win that 3v3 with the help of his team. Not a good place for Dignitas to be right now. I'd be a little scared about that guy.
And he's not even going to back yet. He knows that these fights are perfectly fine, no pressure, nothing that he needs to scale over right now, so he's going to suck up a few more of those minions. Right now with a 3,000 gold lead, a lot of that sitting in the hands of Doublelift.
Maybe he's going to play like one of those ARAMs where you finish the game with just a Chalice of Harmony, and you're like, that was a good ARAM.
Great job.
This is a good game for COG so far. Maybe Doublelift doesn't need to shop.
He's not going to go back and buy. He's going to rely completely on the team. Chalice's been playing it enough. We usually say the support wins the lane more than the AD carry, and it was his first blood came from that grab of Chaucer onto Crumbs in the bottom lane.
Today's a good day.
Today is a good day
so far,
for these guys.
They're up 3.7k gold, which is by no means an insurmountable lead. Specifically, if Scar gets a couple resets and gets those quick items, we know how crazy APE can get. That was intentional. Amacutie got the long distance red buff there. And really, COG just needs to have control here. Probably look to take a dragon again in the minute.
Link buying up the old Zanyas with the chain vest. No, I'm just kidding. Building up a chain vest there. So he is saying, man, this team's going to start hurting, but I don't know if that's a mistake. Maybe it's not. Maybe it is.
He looks to be rushing a Guardian Angel.
Yeah.
They're really worried about the resets right here. I almost feel like that's a little bit quick for a Guardian Angel, but you can see their mindset here. They're just wanting to make sure everyone is a tank against the assassin-based team, because that's what assassins are weak against, is a team of tanks.
And we got to remember this: the initiation, right? Pretty much comes from Kiwi Kid or Scarra Alpha striking in, so they're not going to be surprised by anything, but they are going to have a fight where it's going to be slightly elongated and pretty deadly. So, like you're saying, that Guardian Angel may need to be built up. We see the Spirit Stone coming in for Big Fat. He hasn't really finished that core item yet. See how much gold he's sitting on. It's about 400 to the Golem already of Crumbs, and they're making moves. Yeah,
and COG is putting a lot of game-specific item builds into this one. In almost all of Big Fat's games, you will see him rush the Golem Spirit after Spirit Stone, but because everyone needs to have that little bit of extra defense, since it's all about the one person dying, he's building the Aegis before the Golem Spirit.
Oh, Crumbs steals it away! Penance for earlier, and it looks like he's going to go down, but the team is happy with that. Worth it.
That is absolutely worth it. Crumbs was 0-2, so he's not even worth that much gold anymore. And that was a rare smite miss by Big Fat LP there. He's been really solid with those this entire split. Just couldn't get that one away from Nunu. Finally, Crumbs gets something back.
Finally got it back on that one. Followed the trail in, was able to help the team out quite big there. That gold was going to stretch to about plus 4,000. Stays at that 3.5 mark. We'll see what Dignitas can start to do. The BF sword now on to Kiwi Kid. Cutie Pie almost getting hit up as he offensively Arcane shifts into the fight for some damage.
So really Dignitas is just looking for the dives right now, but we got to go back to the importance of that Dragon Steel. Look at how many wards COG prepped in the Dignitas blue buff and Dragon area so they could secure that Dragon. Very unfortunate that it went the other way, because that was the objective COG was keying on before making their big play. Now they're a little bit confused.
Crumbs getting that blood boil. You see it sticking onto Cutie Pie. The flag toss to help protect the turret here, and CLG is kind of wondering, you know, we had a lot of this early game laning phase, but whoa, this fight team is going to put some pressure on now is what they're thinking.
And the fear is there a little bit for COG now, since they know they gave up the Dragon and the gold isn't as big of a lead that COG wanted. If they did lose that one member in a team fight, it could just cascade into everyone falling. They're taking it slow and cautious here as Doublelift is on the hunt. I think Cutie Pie saw him there with that True Shot Barrage.
So let's consider the, you know, the compositions from both teams. Towards this mark, we are seeing Dig kind of come back and cause fear for CLG. Is this their ramp-up time of that power curve for their champions?
I think CLG is still comfortable farming this one out, as they pretty much always are. The transition that COG has to make will be from getting Doublelift out of farm phase into actually domination, which has been a struggle for COG lately during their struggles. They get Doublelift farm, he gets a bunch of minions, he split pushes, but then he never comes in team fights. And since he has 75% of COG's kills right now, the other 4 members of COG aren't necessarily strong enough to fight without him.
Oh, once again, Counter Logic Gaming trying to get into the jungle here, right under the pink ward. It is going to be a run here for Cutie Pie and Batoy. Batoy tries to go back. He says, I might be able to make it. Getting all caught up in the minions on that one, but he's going to use the wild growth. Go down on this one, and they are giving these right to Doublelift every time. Link may not be able to make it out of this one. Flash Frost will come back up. You can see Crumbs positioning for the exit of Link, but he just breaks Crumbs' ankles and gets back to his team.
There was no way that Dignitas was willing to chase that back into the mob of COG pain that was coming towards him, so he just put that little juke on, but it was like a juke towards
yeah, it's like, okay,
safety.
You got us. The screen, the full team screen. Coming in on this top, or bottom turret, the top of the bottom. Haha, that's what we'll call it. 19 minutes in, 5-0. So these guys have a clean ace over 19 minutes.
And this is a pretty quick transition COG's starting to make now. They may just look to dive on Scar because everybody's here.
Nien goes in. He has not even really been threatened yet. His passive has not been popped, so he's more than happy to take that turret damage. Crumb's going to try to get himself in. He instantly gets flayed out of absolute zero. Command Shockwave locking him down. The death as well. Cutie Pie gets locked up from death sentence on the back line. He had to split with the team. Oh, the flash condemn. He cannot get the last kill. You can't tumble through trees, but it's Big Fat to follow. It's one after the other. A game of leapfrog for Counter Logic Gaming, and they take out 2 before stopping.
Nothing in this game is as satisfying as Jarvan ulting someone for a kill because they just disappear into the Cataclysm. That was a very stylish kill by Big Fat LP, but a very good move for COG in the context of the overall game. It's just more apparent how difficult it's going to be for Dignitas to get any resets in here, especially once Link gets that Guardian Angel. Nien has a death passive built in. Big Fat OP is building pure tank. Chouster is staying far enough back, and if Dignitas is going to start on a support, they're not going to win the fight. And Doublelift built a Guardian Angel as well because he's just messing with Dignitas.
Oh my gosh. He went back again with near 3,000 gold. That's twice he's gone back with his pockets completely full. He almost didn't get back. He needed help from Chouster on that one. 5-2 is the turrets, which means Dignitas is also losing map vision now. The fights aren't even doable under turrets. This is going to be a tough one.
I think this Guardian Angel build is actually extremely suboptimal, but it works very well in the context of what COG is doing right now. Because they're up nearly 7,000 gold, they're still stronger in straight-up fights against Dignitas if you just removed all the gold the Guardian Angel took, but it's more of an insurance policy for COG. If this game was close, the Guardian Angels would be a terrible idea, but because they're up by so much, it's actually a brilliant one.
Still looking at Nien, he definitely has that passive back up, going very low in the last fight, so CLG can do it again, and right now you can see them going to that split push formation already, knowing they have the upper hand, and they're ready to figure out what Dignitas wants to do to try and make it stop.
They need a lot of things
to
make this stop. At least they have their big items mainly completed. Death Cap onto Skara. Bloodthirster on a Kiwi Kid, which is not your typical Kha'Zix item. You see most Kha'Zix go with the tier for the Muramana, but at least because it's stacking up slower, Kiwi Kid thinks it's no longer necessary. It still means they have to find a way to kill one. If they kill one, they'll generally get two, but they haven't been able to get the first yet.
Boom! Blobbed in the face. The unstable matter hitting up onto Skara, and that did quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, it did a little bit. That's like a half second to meditate. I think he's going to get it back.
Yeah.
It looked cool, though. It was a blood punch him in the face. It just opens up this dragon for COG because they had vision of Skara. And this would be Dignitas' gambit, actually, if they decided to go for the Baron. Crumbs has to clear away that ward with Oracle.
They got to be careful where they're pinched. Skara has a ward on him right now. They do have pings. Nien will not come down from the top lane. And we just see the ball control giving Dignitas a second thought about the engage on this fight. Double lift, getting some good shots down. He throws on the ultimate, puts on the tumble. He can't get in though. The Cataclysm is helping so much. Big Fat, close it. He gets himself locked up by Absolute Zero and goes down in the end. Kiwi Kid finds one. Will he get the reset? He goes on, he gets the second one. Double lift is in his eyes, but he's gonna tumble it out. The mechanics to come in. He gets help over from Link from the backside and command shield. And it looks like they pulled this one into their favor. Cutie Pie, or Toy rather, looking to get out of this one. He may have some cupcakes, but I don't think he brought enough for everybody, so he may go down here. The shield, oh wow, good slow on the glitter lance, the 80% slow. Looks like he's gonna make it out.
Can he get him with one more? I think Patoy's quick enough. Can he get him?
Squish! Almost got him. Left shot. There we go. All right. They're 4 furlongs deep into that one.
Yeah, well, even though people have rezzed after dying at this point, we're going to call that a 4 for 2.
We're getting the batting order back around.
Yeah. It's a good fight, actually, for COG, even though they lost 2, because they weren't really able to chain resets. Kiwi Kid got a couple. Link didn't actually have a Guardian Angel there. Big Fat LP didn't have his full tank items yet, and the people who died were not the essential damage dealers for COG, which is why COG was able to chase them down so well. Specifically now, Double Lift is sitting on another 2,000 gold, and will actually have enough damage now to really start shredding through Dignitas.
Well, at least we know Dignitas can kite in these fights forever. Well. Keep it going. CLG doing a very nice job of continuously getting themselves in the faces of Dignitas. The Big Fat LP Cataclysm kind of hindering a bit of damage throughout the fight, but it was in a kind of an awkward position, so that's the way the cookie crumbled there. But it makes it a 7,000 gold lead, 11-2. The turrets, again, haven't really been moving. It's gone to turrets early game with the 3v1 pushes, and then to a lot of kills with a few dragon focus, and now it's just each team, again, back and forth, face-to-face when they can find the fight.
And to get back to that Jarvan combo that almost was, because everyone on Dignitas moved towards the back of the Cataclysm, it actually stopped Double Lift from being able to hit them because Vayne is not a very long-range AD carry. Smart positioning by Dignitas that almost saved them a little bit in that fight.
It's like they still worry about this. They don't want to get caught out. They're definitely giving Dignitas respect here. They saw what Kiwi Kid did last fight. He's going to get that last Whisper next, and he may go down quick, but he will be able to take people out even quicker. So he's still a threat.
There is a lot of priority targets on Dignitas. They're all squishy, so everyone wants to just blow them up immediately, which is what COG is trying to do in these fights.
Looking at the CS, 222 to 160 between Nien and Kiwi Kid in that top lane as they even out. Oh, Double Lift's going crazy again. It was Crumbs last time they got hit on by the Blade of the Rude King. Starts the fight off again. And you can see that he is not happy with that on the screen.
Well, we had that Did You Know earlier. Champions are worth less gold the more times they die. And
Yes,
Crumbs
sir.
is becoming worth less and less as this game moves on. It's kind of like killing a Siege minion if he dies a couple more times. It's actually not worth everything COG burned on him there. There was a potential chance to go for Kiwi Kid or Crumbs right there, but they decided to go for Crumbs. The kill itself was not worth it, but since they've gotten rid of the potential Smite Steal threat, the Baron will be.
All of the builds, CLG came into this game so thwarting the strategy of Dignitas. The try for early Guardians. Link actually, he got the armor, and then he was kind of like, I think it's all right if I protect Double Lift, who's getting the Guardians. I can still go for the power and utilize that Rabadon's.
Yeah, interestingly enough, the more armored magic resist you have, the more effective shields become.
Yeah.
Just because it's effective health, shields, shield things. Look it up. There's an explanation that I used to be able to do. But Link is still very hard to kill when he shields himself because of that armored magic resist that he's gotten from the Guardian Angel components.
Command, that defense never hurts to give you a little bit more as well. We'll see him picking up blue buff here on top of that glittery red, it's red, glittery purple buff that's spinning around them, as is Baron. 27 minutes as we approach that mark onto this, and it's been quite a quick game for CLG. We said this has been a back and forth for both teams, and again, CLG is turning it into something we don't see from them all the time.
Yeah, this one has been very forced for CLG.
Yeah,
There's no back.
There's no back.
Especially for Doublelift. He's backed like 3 times this game, and then with 3,000 gold at a time and just picked up a giant item. Now he's got the Vayne damage items as well as just having the unpoppable Guardian Angel with the way Dignitas is behind in this one. I think CLG is just going to push up these side lanes and then maybe think about a tower dive.
Last Whisper finished up onto Kiwi Kid. We'll see the team poised and ready here to break into the jungle. Crumbs is going to be seen out here as they kind of waltz on top of each other. You don't really need an Oracles to see them, but they see each other with their eyes. Top lane being focused out here a little bit by Kiwi Kid and Patoy. They're all getting wards in the jungle when really I think they could be focusing on letting CLG fight them in front of that turret and trying to pinch them right here.
It's a little bit strange with the ward positioning because this is not the time in the game where Dignitas needs wards there.
Right.
Dignitas needs wards just outside of their base so they know where CLG is moving side to side.
Like Skara can't even get in to do his alpha strikes. Like we said, this composition was going to be high risk, high reward for them.
If Dignitas falls behind against a tanky team with nothing but assassins, the upfront damage isn't there.
Oh, could he get it? I was going to say the ball may be going back to Orianna. Nian gets locked down there. They aren't able to grab a kill just yet, but the brute force of CLG allows them to focus on the Nexus while being attacked. Or rather, inhibitor.
Yeah, Dignitas doesn't have anybody to go in and start the fight. Everyone on Dignitas' team wants to clean up a fight. You have to have someone willing to start it, and that's what Dignitas doesn't have here. A, because the composition means it was difficult for them in the first place, and B, because they're so far behind right now.
And you can see how fast this game has turned from them and how far behind it is. Only one person with home guards. The next buy that came out was a blasting wand from Skara for more damage. Going in, Nian not getting the ball yet. He gets lanterned out, leaving Cutie Pie. Cutie Pie once again, oh no, Big Fat rather, hitting up Crumbs. Going in, the Cataclysm goes down. There's the shockwave to follow. Beautiful flashes by Dignitas to actually kite out of that, but they may lose another inhibitor.
And I think they're going to lose an Ezreal too.
Oh!
Maybe even more. Dignitas doesn't have the ammunition to fight back.
The box goes down and just misses, but it does zone any type of re-engage that Dignitas could bring in here. Kiwi Kid throwing down the rest of his ultimate, rather, and they back out.
And with this Baron buff, though, they might have the regen to just keep pushing. This is how little power Dignitas has right now. Everyone's trying to heal up on the fountain before they fight back.
Lynx, Doublelift's Guardian Angel never got popped this game. These guys have hardly died. 2 deaths to CLG. Eyes on the Nexus right now. The end of the back line to stop anything from going wrong, and it looks like they take it out at 29 minutes in a 13-2 fashion.
Skara did not get the resets this game. He's not very happy about that. And CLG really bounced back because they had a very ugly game against Curse yesterday, and this was one of the smoothest games they've had all year. So this is a great start for this day to them.
It was one of the games, and you rarely see this, where there wasn't really a stall moment. There was always something that CLG wanted to do, they had planned to do. Usually we'll see them, everybody takes those first 2 turrets, and then nothing happens until 20 minutes.
Yeah, they had the decision making this time. It's almost a total transformation for them from yesterday to today because they were maybe it just has to do with them having a lead. If they have the big lead, then they're going to be able to capitalize on it a little bit. And that's exactly what they did. They specifically changed their item builds a lot